I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, March the 27th, brought to you in part by Macrocin by Bimeda. Macrocin is a bold, straight shooting telithromycin that does what it's supposed to do for you, for your cattle, and especially your bottom line. For more information, go to macrocin.com. Also, Joplin Regional Stockyards, about 7,000 head for them, which is a lighter run for them of late. They've been on a roll with a lot of big runs down there in southwest Missouri. But I invite you to go on to dvauction.com and watch the sale at Joplin. And if you got the time or can just leave it on while you're working at your desk, watch how they keep the market so consistent on the cattle throughout the day. They get that market set, whatever it's going to be, whatever the market is, early on in the morning, and then are able to keep that market there on those cattle pretty much all day. And they don't have any far outliers, they're way above or way below the average. The cattle bring the market, and when you get down to it, that's really all you can ask for. But check out Joplin Regional Stockyards on dvauction.com. I'm going to talk to you today about the OFF Act, and I'm not sure if you guys have seen this at all, but the OFF Act stands for Opportunities for Fairness in Farming. So basically what it does, it's kind of going off against the checkoff programs. And I say against them, it's requiring them to give more transparency and accountability to the USDA checkoff programs, not just beef, dairy and poultry and the others too, but we're basically talking about beef here, and I do agree that we need some more transparency and accountability on how those dollars are spent. It's a lot of dollars, be at least $1 a head for every bovine that's sold, but they don't get it all collected. The brand inspectors on the west side, where they have brand laws, they collect it there, so all the direct cattle are collected, and then the onus is on the sale barns to collect the money, collect the checkoff dollars for the auction cattle that are sold. But they don't get anything for doing that, but they still have to do it. But you get over on the more 2/3 of the eastern part of the United States don't have any brand laws. If cattle are sold in the country, more than likely they don't ever collected the dollars, and so you don't get that. So that seems a little bit unfair, but there's a lot of money there, and anytime you get a lot of money and things, it starts to get kind of crooked. This OFF Act would also prohibit the checkoff dollars to be used for lobbying. Now, the beef checkoff, like NCBA, is not supposed to use those dollars for lobbying, but they are getting dollars and they are lobbying. And most of the time, they're lobbying against things that our smaller producers really need, like the Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act that I'm all the time pushing. And NCBA lobbies against that every opportunity that they can get, and have been successful in keeping it from getting passed so far. So you can just use your own judgment on where their funds are coming from. I guess if I've got some money, I can say that I'm using it for this or that. But if the money's all in the same till, it really. Yeah, any money that I get could be used for something that I'm doing. But it would also prohibit the funds to be used to pay for staff and programs of the big trade organizations or associations. And they seem to tend to, and I guess not just in the beef, but also they tend to favor these big multinational corporations that we can't say they're the enemy. We have to have them, but they're all out for themselves, and we know that. But I can't say that I'm for or against this OFF Act. Yes, I was for the referendum to bring back a vote on the beef checkoff here that we had a couple 3 years ago. I was for that referendum. I do think that there needs to be some more accountability in how those funds are spent. I don't know why, or I do know why, but I think it's ridiculous that they put these full-page ads in these cattle magazines and trade publications for beef. But the reason, I know that the reason they do that is for hush money, so they're giving a lot of advertising dollars to these big ag media publications, and then they kind of get to monitor what they put out. We've been offered that money before here to Feeder Flash, and we did not take that money because we knew that we would lose our core listenership if we took those hush money dollars there, and they offered them up to us, but we don't want any group or person or outfit telling us what we can and cannot say on this report. And I think that's what makes it pretty popular, is because we're just straight shooting. But I'm going to tell you right now that I cannot say whether I am for or against this off act. There's some things in it that I like. I think we do need to have some type of checkoff program. There's definitely uses for that money, and there's a need for promotion for your product. But I don't understand why we have to do the advertising for the beef processors. You never see any of your big four putting out expensive ads that tell you how great steak is. Everybody knows how great steak is. They can't afford it because these big four are putting so much money in between the producer and the end product, and they're about to get it to where it's a delicacy. And a lot of people aren't going to be able to afford it. But the reason that I can't get behind this is the people that have I don't know how aggressive they are or how excited they are, but some of the sponsors on this now, that has Mike Lee and Rand Paul in the senators, which I think is fine. But you look at the other side, and it is bipartisan, but it's got Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas right there. Why is she signing on to this bill? It's got Spartacus, Cory Booker. We know why he is even on the ag committee and interested in these things. He wants to get rid of CAFOs, which is confined animal feeding operations, i.e. feedlots. These people are so foolish that they think that we can feed the world out of the back of a kind of a cutesy pickup there with some racks on the side at a farmer's market on a Saturday morning. We can't do that. We can't feed people that way. We have to have GMOs. We have to have CAFOs. We have to raise these ag products in a big way to keep this world fed. And also, as Kirsten Gillibrand, if you remember, she ran for president there. She's a nut. So why these people are on there, I don't know. It makes me nervous. I don't want to be in the same bunch with them. So I'm saying I can't be for this off act. Yes, I think there's needs to be some changes in the checkoff programs. I think there needs to be more accountability on how those funds are used. I do think that the management of those checkoff funds and the major beneficiaries of those checkoff funds are pretty inbred, which I'm going to get you guys, some of you guys that are on the Beef Council board, calling me and saying, "Oh boy, we're not." Yes, you are. You've all been involved in the same things, in the outfits that get the money and the ones that are appropriating the money. And like I said early in this deal, and it seems like everything's crooked anymore, when you get a lot of money in anything, the crookedness starts. But that's my spiel on the off act. You guys make your own decisions and see what you think there. Who's pushing this? It is not United States Cattlemen's Association. It is involved with OCM, Organization of Competitive Markets. I've had my dealings with them, and I will never have any more dealings with them. But that's kind of the players that are in the game. Let's talk about your board for last week. April live cattle futures. Monday was down 30, Tuesday was up 40, Wednesday down 12, Thursday down 15, and Friday up 85 cents, with April live cattle futures ending the week at 163 even, up 68 cents for the week, so basically nothing. Your June live cattle ended the week at 156.60. That was up 20 cents, so even less movement there. March feeder cattle, which are just about gone here. Monday was down 65, Tuesday was up 57, Wednesday down 52, Thursday up 77, and Friday up 62, with March feeder cattle ending the week at 189.65, up 80 cents. April ended the week up 8 cents compared to the end of the previous week at 194.80. Your May corn futures ended the week at 6.43 a bushel. That was up 8 3/4 cents there. Your December was ended the week at 5.60 1/4, down a penny a bushel. May beans ended the week at 14.28 1/4. That was down 48 1/4 cents, with a lot of pressure from a lot of beans down in Brazil. And the new crop November beans ended the week at 12.73 1/4. Talk about your fat cattle market. It was mixed. Your fat cattle were absolutely mixed. The northern plains had a higher trend and the southern plains had a lower trend. We hardly ever see anything like that, but southern plains has kind of lost their leverage here for a second. Even though we're in extremely tight conditions, you can say the cattle in the northern plains are better, but they're not really better than the ones in Kansas. And I told you that on one of our recent feeder flashes that Kansas has got quality and they're not getting paid for it. But you talk about your live sales of steers and heifers. They ran from 162 to 167. That was from 50 cents to $1 higher on the weekly trend there. Your weighted average on live steers 164.39, up 22 cents compared to the weighted average from the end of the previous week. Dress sales 263 to 268. That was $3 higher dressed, and of course almost all your cattle that are sold dressed are in the northern plains. Dressed steers weighted average 265.07. That was up $1.25. Now that was all through Thursday. Friday we had a little dab of trade, but not much. Iowa had 1,500 confirmed, 27,200 head for the week. Live sales on Iowa on Friday 164 to 166, and dress sales 265, right in the range from the week. No sales in Nebraska. They sold 21,200 head for the week. No sales in Kansas, 12,700, but no sales on Friday. Texas sold a load of mixed cattle on Friday, but didn't amount to much, and only 5,600 for the week. But box beef cutout values were lower. We're expecting them to catch fire here any time as our weather starts to warm up. But choice cuts down 349 at 280.98. That's your weighted average from all of last week's choice sales. Late week sales Friday afternoon were about $1 lower than that. Weighted average on all of last week's select sales 270.59, down 241. And your late Friday afternoon sales come in almost $2 lower than that. So they're continuing to drift lower. But just a little over, not quite a $10.50 spread between your choice and select on the weighted average. 612 loads of cuts, grinds, and trimmings. Your slaughter, 626,000 for last week. That was 5,000 less than the previous week. 31,000 less than the same week a year ago. And then our carcass weights are a lot lighter too, so they're not getting near as much product. You think, well, gosh, we were running about the same. They're just not killing anything on Saturday anymore, hardly at all. Our Saturday kill was estimated at 16,000. A year ago, it was 58,000, which is still really light, but at least something. Talk about what else is going on. Rec Agra is Mark Rec. Sells ranch real estate there and has a listing of the Condon Ranch in Sterling, Colorado. Still got that available. A lot of it runs right along I-76 there, guys. And it is one of the largest privately held ranches in northeast Colorado. Let's keep it in cattle, guys. And you know, these hunting reserves and setting land aside just for preservation and out of use, they're taking all of our ranches away. Let's keep it in cattle. There's over 19,000 acres there. They're going to offer it up several different ways. If somebody doesn't come in and buy that whole thing, it's all going to be houses, guys. But reasonable taxes there. It's been well managed. There's a lot of grass on it right now, and the grass is short in that part of the country, but beautiful ranch there. If you're interested, get a hold of Mark Reck at Reck Agra. Talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DV auction late in the week there. Ended the week at 188.99. That was up just 12 cents, or basically steady. 12 cents a hundred, so really nothing there. But it's been pretty well steady. Your sale barns last week sold cattle, all classes, unevenly steady. The steers were quoted more higher, and the heifers quoted more lower where there was change there. And you just see that from people buying cattle to turn out in the summer. They particularly like steers for the most part. And it's just backed off a little bit on the heifers, but you're getting some prop up on those heifers that are good enough for replacements, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that here in a second. Talk about your bigger sales late last week or over the weekend. How about Fort Pierre livestock auction in Fort Pierre, South Dakota? 7,800 head, big sale for them on Friday. Market was fairly uneven. Market reporter there did comment that the cattle that were just wintered on hay, which hay is short, but they did have some up in that part of the country. Those cattle are in a more green condition, and the buyers were definitely going after those compared to the ones that were backgrounded on a ration and carrying a lot more flesh. But that's typical. But you'd look at some of your best tested weights there on the steers. They had nearly 2,200 head of 7-weight steers. Wow. 2,189 head of 7-weight steers, average 767, with a weighted average price on all of those of 206.91. A lot of 8-weights too. 1,704 head of 8-weight steers in Fort Pierre, South Dakota, averaged 848. Weighted average price 196.65. The Zoetis stick-out sale of the day for late last week or over the weekend was Dunlap Livestock Auction in Dunlap, Iowa. Had about 1,800 head, and not a lot of calves, but particularly a lot of heifers and replacement quality heifers. They had, look at your own automated market report through Cattle Market Central there, and you see those heifers. 334 head of 7-weight heifers, average 747 with a weighted average price of 189.20. There was a lot of replacements in there. And in the 8-weights, nearly all the 8-weight heifers sold for replacement at Dunlap, Iowa on Friday. 204 head of 8-weight heifers averaged 826 with a weighted average price of 185.59. And like I said, nearly all those being kept for replacements. Give you a couple stick-out deals. Talking about Fort Pierre livestock in Fort Pierre, South Dakota. How about 90 head of calves? Steer calves weighed 565, bring 257 a pound. Goodness. But I'm going to give you your Macrocin no BS top quote for the day out of a smaller market that doesn't always get the big long strings like that. They're sitting down there by the Lake of the Ozarks in south central Missouri. They're one of our newer broadcasters on DV Auction. It's Oleand Livestock in Eldon, Missouri. They had some good cattle in there, and they sold really well too. 63 head of steer calves, weighed 623, bring 221 1/4. That's your feeder flash for Monday.